I broke off my engagement after my fiancée said she needed a break to see where things might go with her ex. I sold our home, cut ties, and vanished for a while. Hey, everyone. It's been a long, strange stretch lately, and I figured it's finally time to share what's been going on with me. I'm 27 now, and not too long ago, I was completely convinced I was about to marry the woman I'd spend the rest of my life with, Mary, who's 26. We'd been together for 4 solid years. Most of that time, I thought we were in a good place, stable, in sync, the whole 9 yards. But now that I'm looking back on it, I keep asking myself how I didn't notice the warning signs earlier. Mary and I first crossed paths at a birthday party thanks to a mutual friend who introduced us. She had this sharp, no BS kind of confidence and a great sense of humor that really grabbed my attention. I'd dated other people before, but no one ever felt as easy to connect with as her. Things clicked right away, and about a year in, we decided to move in together. It all felt right, like we were aligned on the big stuff, our jobs, the idea of getting married someday, even raising a family. She was freelancing as a graphic designer, and I was working as a project manager in tech. Our schedules matched up pretty well, so we actually got to spend quality time together. Life wasn't fancy or over the top, but it was good. We'd been tossing around the idea of getting married for a while, but I didn't pop the question until last year. It wasn't anything dramatic, just a quiet dinner at home, just the two of us. When I asked, she lit up. Tears, hugs, the whole emotional roller coaster. She said yes, and we started daydreaming right then and there about a small fall wedding by a lakeside venue, just close friends and family. Everything seemed like it was falling into place, or so I thought. Looking back, the first red flags were small and easy to brush off. They were like little glitches I convinced myself not to worry about. For example, at first, Mary was all over the wedding planning, sending me Pinterest boards, browsing dresses, obsessing over whether we should go with tulips or roses for centerpieces. But then, all of a sudden, she just lost interest. I'd ask something simple like, "Hey, have you figured out your bridesmaids yet?" And she'd just wave it off like it didn't matter. "Not yet. Still mulling it over," she'd say. Same story when it came to the dress, the cake, the music, you name it. Every decision that used to excite her became something she pushed off. "There's still plenty of time," she'd repeat, like a broken record. It started to feel like the wedding wasn't even on her mind anymore. At the time, I chalked it up to stress. Planning a wedding is overwhelming, right? And she had a lot on her plate with work, so I figured she'd snap out of it. What I didn't realize back then was that her disinterest wasn't about the wedding, it was about us. The real gut punch came one night when we were out with some friends. Somebody brought up that dumb TikTok game, you know, the one where people ask awkward personal questions and try not to react. Everyone was laughing, having a good time. Then someone asked, if you could go back and relive one relationship, which one would it be? And just like that, Mary blurted out, "Oh, probably Michael." Michael. Her ex from college. The same guy who cheated on her. As soon as she said it, the whole room kind of froze. She gave a nervous laugh and tried to cover her tracks, not that I want to or anything. It's just a big part of my past. I wanted to call her out right then and there, but since we were around friends, I held back. Later that night, when we were alone, I brought it up. "So, what's the deal with Michael? Why would you want to revisit that relationship?" She brushed it off like it was nothing. "It was just a stupid game, William. Don't take it so seriously," she said with a half smile, changing the subject. I let it slide, told myself not to make a mountain out of something that might be harmless. But deep down, it stuck with me. After that, her behavior got harder and harder to ignore. She was glued to her phone more than usual, smiling at her texts in a way that felt off. She started making excuses to bail on plans or cancel last minute. "Sorry, I've just got a bunch of freelance stuff to finish tonight," she'd say. Or, "I promised my mom I'd visit this weekend." The excuses themselves weren't sketchy on their own, but they kept piling up. I could feel myself being bumped lower on her list of priorities. Then came the Friday night that flipped everything on its head. I got home from work a little earlier than usual, excited to spend a quiet evening with her, maybe order some takeout, binge a show. But as soon as I walked in, the vibe was weird. She was on the couch with her laptop open, but she wasn't typing or doing anything productive. Just kind of staring at the screen, zoned out. "Hey, I'm home," I said gently, hoping to ease whatever tension was hanging in the air. "You're early," she replied, like it was a bad thing. I tried not to read too much into it and headed to the kitchen to start dinner. But the silence was heavy, uncomfortable. Usually, she'd ask about my day or start chatting about hers. But that night, nothing. Finally, I turned to her and asked, "Is everything okay?" She closed her laptop and looked over at me. "Actually, There's something I need to talk to you about. And just like that, my stomach dropped. You ever get that feeling when you know something awful is coming, but there's nothing you can do to stop it? That was me. Standing there like a fool, holding a spatula, already bracing for impact. I walked over and sat down across from her. Okay, I said, trying to stay calm. What's going on? She hesitated for a second, like she was trying to line up the right words. Then she just laid it out. I've been doing a lot of thinking about us. And about Michael. I'm not gonna lie, I almost laughed out loud. Michael? Are you serious right now? What about him? She bit her lip and looked away, clearly avoiding my eyes. I think I need some space to figure things out, she said softly. I want to see if there's still something between us. I just sat there, stunned. Wait, you're telling me you want a break, so you can go reconnect with your ex? Mary, are you hearing yourself? We're engaged. It's not like that, she rushed to explain, like she could smooth it over if she said it fast enough. I just need to be sure I'm making the right choice with you. And if it turns out I'm not, I promise I'll come back. And that was the moment it really hit me, just how bold she was being. She actually thought I'd sit around like some placeholder while she ran off to figure out if her cheating ex was still worth something. Something inside me shifted. I didn't explode. I didn't raise my voice. I just stared at her, completely still, wondering how I missed the signs that this was where we were headed. At first, I didn't even know what to say. I mean, what the hell are you supposed to say when your fiancé drops a bomb like that? Eventually, I managed to ask, so, what exactly does this break mean to you? My voice came out calm, way calmer than I felt on the inside. She straightened her posture a bit, like she'd already rehearsed this in her head. I think we both need a little distance. I want to see if my feelings for Michael are real. And in the meantime, you can take some time to think about us too. I couldn't believe the nerve. Wait, let me get this straight, I said, leaning in. You're gonna go explore things with your ex, and I'm supposed to sit here reflecting on us? What kind of messed up logic is that? She let out this dramatic sigh, like I was the unreasonable one. This isn't about you doing something wrong, William, she said, trying to sound patient. It's about me figuring out what I need. She spoke like it was all so sensible, like she was reading off a script she'd practiced a dozen times. She wouldn't meet my eyes, and her voice was weirdly calm, like the decision had already been made and I just needed to go along with it. You know this sounds insane, right? I said, my voice low. You don't just press pause on your fiancé so you can go play the what-if game with a guy who treated you like trash. Her jaw tightened. That was the first moment I realized just how stubborn she really was. I'm not asking for permission, William. I'm telling you what I need. That hit different. It didn't just sting. It lit a fire in me. I stood up and started pacing, trying to burn off the frustration that was boiling over. So what now, Mary? I asked. You're just gonna pack a bag and go shack up with Michael? That your grand plan? No, she said a little too quickly. It's not like that. I don't know exactly what it looks like yet. I need clarity before we move forward. I owe it to myself to be sure. You owe it to yourself? I said with a bitter laugh. What about what you owe me? We're engaged, Mary. We've built a whole life together. And now you're saying you need to go test drive your ex to be sure I'm the right choice. I never said you weren't good enough, she snapped. But if I'm going to spend the rest of my life with someone, I need to be certain. And right now, I'm not. That was it. That was the nail in the coffin. It wasn't just about her wanting to reconnect with Michael. She wasn't even sure about me. After 4 years together, through all the ups and downs and plans we'd made, she still couldn't say she was sure. That realization hit me like a freight train. She didn't even seem to grasp how cruel this all sounded. How careless. She really thought it was a reasonable request, that I'd just sit quietly while she went off chasing whatever mess was in her head. I stopped pacing and looked straight at her. Really looked. You know what? I said, voice flat. Fine. Go take your break. She blinked, clearly not expecting me to agree so easily. William, I'm not trying to hurt you, she said. I need space to figure this out. I nodded, expression blank. If that's what you need, then go. She hesitated like she wanted me to protest, to plead with her or fight back. But I didn't. I stayed seated, calm. She stood up, grabbed her laptop and muttered, "I'll stay at my mom's for now. This isn't permanent. We'll talk after I've had some time. Okay?" "Okay," I said, simple and cool. She gave me one last glance. Unsure, maybe even a little regretful, and then disappeared into the bedroom. I could hear her rustling around, packing a bag. I didn't move from the couch. My mind was already racing ahead. If she really needed a break, she could have it. But I wasn't going to sit around waiting for her to come back. A few minutes later, the front door shut behind her. She was gone, probably thinking she'd left me here to wait and wonder. But she was wrong. She had no idea I had something else in mind. The first person I called was my buddy Richard. He's been my best friend since college and doesn't pull punches. After I told him everything, he showed up with pizza and a plan. "Dude," he said, "you know she's gonna come crawling back when it doesn't work out with Michael, right?" And he was spot on. The more we talked, the clearer it became. This wasn't about revenge. It was about taking back control of my own damn life. So I started with the house. Something Mary conveniently forgets is that it's in my name. Completely. She always talked about it like it was ours, going on about the curtains she picked or the wall colors she chose. But I'm the one who pays the mortgage. First thing Monday, I called a realtor. She came by to take a look, and we didn't waste time. We got the ball rolling on putting it up for sale. The market's hot around here right now, and we've already got a few interested buyers. Mary has no clue. She probably thinks I'm still sitting here in what used to be our home, waiting patiently while she goes off to figure out how she feels. What she doesn't realize is I've already started pulling her out of my life, piece by piece. Remember those cheesy live, laugh, love signs she insisted on hanging up? Gone. The fancy throw pillows she just had to have? Donated. As for her clothes and personal things she left behind, I packed them all up, neatly and respectfully. But this is where I stopped being sentimental and got smart. Instead of handing her stuff off at her mom's or having her swing by to get it, I hired a moving company, had it all boxed up and delivered straight to her mother's doorstep. I included a simple note. "Here's your stuff. Best of luck with Michael." Now, I know some folks might think that was petty, but I disagree. This wasn't about revenge. It was about being efficient and final. She wanted space? Well, she's got plenty of it now. Physically, emotionally, logistically, all cleared out. What really surprised me was how things shifted once our mutual friends started catching wind of what happened. I didn't trash her. I didn't play the victim. I just told the truth. Mary said she needed time to reconnect with her ex before she could commit to marriage. I decided I deserve more than being somebody's second choice. It's incredible how quickly people start seeing things clearly when you lay it out like that. No theatrics, no finger-pointing, just plain truth. Suddenly the gossip dies down, and the silence speaks for itself. Meanwhile, I've been moving forward. I finally applied for a job I'd been eyeing at our West Coast office. Something I kept putting off for too long. With the house under contract and interest strong, a fresh start out west suddenly doesn't feel like running. It feels like progress. Naturally, Mary started reaching out. At first, it was light. Stuff like, "Hope you're doing okay," or just checking in. But as soon as she realized I wasn't just sitting here twiddling my thumbs, her messages shifted. She got worried. Yesterday, she basically hit panic mode. Her mom told her the moving boxes had arrived. "What's going on? Why are you acting like this is over?" she texted. I kept my reply short. "Because it is over, Mary. You made your decision. Now I'm making mine. Cue the waterworks." She called me crying, saying she didn't mean for things to go this far. She just needed time. I was moving too fast. This wasn't what she had in mind when she asked for space. I asked her, "What did you expect, Mary? That I'd sit here like some loyal golden retriever while you went off to play house with your ex?" She sobbed, "But what if I realize you're the one I really want?" I sighed and said, "Then maybe you'll learn a tough lesson about what happens when you take people for granted." And with that, I hung up. And the strange part? I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel shattered. I felt free. Every box I packed, every move I made, it felt like I was getting back pieces of myself I didn't even know I'd given away. Richard swung by again yesterday to help with more packing. He looked at me and said, "Man, you seem different. More focused." He was right. I am different. When Mary first brought up Michael, I felt like my entire world was coming down around me. Now, I realize it wasn't my world falling apart, it was just the illusion I'd been living in finally crumbling. And thank God for that. I've got more changes in the pipeline, but I'll save those for the next update. For now, I'll leave it at this. Sometimes the best way to stop being someone's backup plan is to erase yourself from the list entirely. Stay tuned. This story's not finished, and I get the feeling Mary's about to learn her little break isn't going the way she imagined. Remember that West Coast job I applied for? Well, I got it. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. The house is under contract and scheduled to close next month. But that's not even the best part. Turns out Mary's grand adventure with Michael? Not exactly the rom-com she had in mind. Word got around through our mutual friends, apparently Michael hasn't changed much at all. Same old guy. Still shady. Still unreliable. Still the same dude who cheated on her in college. But here's where things really get interesting. Mary's been trying to manage the story on social media, posting vague quotes about healing, growth, and listening to your heart. It's all very #self-discovery. So I decided to put out a post too, just once and all facts. Excited to share that I've accepted a new position in San Francisco. When one door closes, sometimes a better one opens. Looking forward to the next chapter. The reaction was instant. Messages poured in, congrats, questions, curiosity. A few people even asked about Mary. I kept it clean and honest. We're no longer together. She wanted to explore other options, so I'm doing the same. And just like that, the energy shifted. Remember those friends who were on the fence? Watching me handle everything quietly and with maturity while Mary blasted Instagram with cryptic heartbreak poems kind of made things clear. Her narrative started falling apart. And then came the fallout in her professional life. You see, most of Mary's freelance gigs come from referrals and connections. One of our mutual contacts, Susan, she's in the tech world and used to pass a lot of work Mary's way, reached out to me. We grabbed coffee and she said, "I need to know what really happened. Mary's been telling people you're just taking some time apart to grow individually, but it doesn't add up." So I told her the truth. I showed her Mary's message about needing space to revisit things with Michael. Susan's face said it all. She didn't buy Mary's version for a second. By the end of that week, a few of Mary's upcoming projects were postponed or reassigned. Not because I trashed her. I never said a bad word. But clients talk. And let's be honest, who wants to trust a creative lead who treats commitment like a coin toss? Mary started to feel the shift. Her texts went from casual check-ins to anxious and panicked. "Why are you telling people about Michael? You're destroying my reputation. This isn't fair, I just needed time to think." I finally responded to one of them. "You got exactly what you asked for, time and space. How I use mine, that's no longer your business." And then came the breaking point. Michael, being the genius he is, posted a picture of the two of them having dinner. But not just anywhere. No, they were at the same restaurant where Mary and I had our first date. It was like she was trying to rewrite history, just swapping out the lead actor. Sad? Yeah. Almost laughable too. The post didn't stay up long, but the damage was already done. Our mutual friends saw it. And whatever support Mary had left from people who bought into her whole self-discovery journey faded fast. Even her own sister reached out to me. "I'm really sorry for how she's handled all this. You deserve way better." Honestly, the most satisfying part? I didn't have to stoop to her level. I didn't retaliate. I didn't scheme. I just lived my life honestly while she tried and failed to play both sides. Because the truth? It always finds its way out. Then yesterday, she showed up at my office. Clearly, the fairy tale with Michael had crashed and burned. Turns out he's still the same guy, flirting around, being sketchy, never really trustworthy. Big shocker. She came in crying. "I made a huge mistake," she sobbed. "I was scared of commitment. I thought maybe there was something better out there, but I was wrong. You were the best thing that ever happened to me." I just looked at her calmly. "No, Mary. The best thing that ever happened to me was you showing me your true colors before we got married." She tried to plead with me, said we could fix it, she'd go to therapy, she'd prove she could be trusted again. But I shook my head. "You still don't get it. This isn't about Michael anymore. It's about you thinking you could put me on pause while you chased a maybe. That's not love. That's using someone for convenience." She left in tears. I felt peaceful, lighter than I had in months. The house closes next week, most of my stuff is boxed up, and in just a few weeks, I'll be heading to San Francisco to start fresh. Some people say I'm being too harsh. Everyone makes mistakes, they say. But see, that's the difference. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment screw-up. This was a series of choices. She chose to reach out to Michael. She chose to lie. She chose to put our relationship on hold while she shopped around for a backup plan. So no, this wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. I'll drop another update once the move's complete. But I'll leave you with this for now. The best kind of revenge? It's not about payback. It's about progress. And I'm moving forward with or without her. San Francisco has been everything I hoped for. My new apartment overlooks the bay, and the tech scene out here? It's energizing. My team at work is sharp, focused, and way more interested in building cool stuff than in office politics or drama. But first, let me bring you up to speed on how things wrapped up back home. The house sale went off without a hitch. Closed quickly, and we even got over the asking price. Mary apparently found out through mutual friends. At first, she didn't believe it. Then she drove by one day and saw the new owners moving in. I guess that's when it hit her, this really was done. But it gets better. Michael, that Michael actually reached out to me. No joke. He sent a long, rambling message trying to explain himself. Said he never meant to stir things up and that, according to him, Mary had reached out to him months before she ever mentioned needing a break. She'd been laying the foundation for her little journey of discovery long before she ever said a word to me about it. Secret texts. Quiet little breadcrumbs. Lining up a backup plan. The kicker? Michael broke things off with her. His words, if she did this to you, what's stopping her from doing it to me? Poetic justice, if you ask me. Meanwhile, her work life? Falling apart. Most of her clients found other designers, not because I said anything, but because word gets around. One of her biggest clients even reached out to me directly. We heard about the engagement ending. We're looking for someone who can commit to long-term work. Know any dependable designers? I passed the lead to a talented designer I know, and they got the job. Karma doesn't miss. As for Mary? Her social media has been a full-on roller coaster. First came the sad quotes about losing your soulmate, then angry jabs at toxic people who can't handle growth. Lately, she's been overcompensating, posting nonstop about how happy and inspired she is. One post in particular stood out. She announced she was launching her own design agency. 3 days later, she started sending out job applications. Not exactly the girl boss arc she was aiming for. Her sister called me again recently. Apparently, Mary's been living with their parents, still talking about how she needs to heal from the breakup. Her sister told me. She really believed you'd wait around. When you sold the house and left, it shattered her little fantasy. But the best part? During a video chat with some old friends, one of them mentioned spotting Mary at a coffee shop trying to explain to a potential client why her portfolio site was down. She forgot one small thing. I built and maintained that site. When the hosting expired, she had no clue how to get it back up. Not my problem anymore. Out here, my life's taking shape. I joined a rock climbing group, started learning Spanish, and even adopted a dog from a local rescue. His name's Joseph, and honestly, he's more loyal than my ex ever was. The tech community's been welcoming too. Last week, I got invited to speak at a developer conference. That never would have happened if I'd stayed stuck in my old life. It's wild how much progress you can make once you stop dragging around dead weight. I had one last interaction with Mary, and fittingly, it came through email. She asked if I could send her a few old photos from our shared cloud account. But the thing is, I'd already downloaded everything I cared about weeks ago, and the account? Long gone. Her message read, I know you're trying to erase me from your life, but you can't just delete our memories. Those 4 years meant something. I kept my response short and honest. You're right. They did mean something. They taught me exactly what I don't want in a partner. Thanks for the lesson. Of course, a few mutual friends heard about it and decided I was being too harsh. They think I should have more compassion for her moment of confusion. But here's the thing, that wasn't a moment. That was a strategy. A calculated move to keep me on standby while she chased something she thought might be better. It wasn't confusion, it was convenience. If there's one major takeaway from all of this, it's this. Sometimes, the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing that could have happened. Had Mary not shown her hand when she did, I might have married her. We could have had kids, a whole life built on a lie, and I wouldn't have seen her true nature until much later when the stakes were even higher. Instead, I get to live in a city I've always loved, working a job I'm excited about, meeting new people, building a future I actually believe in. The sting of betrayal has been replaced with something much better, gratitude. Gratitude for the warning shot I didn't know I needed. To everyone who's followed along with this journey, offered support, or dropped kind words, thank you. You helped me stay grounded when it would have been easy to spiral. You reminded me that self-respect is worth holding on to, no matter who tries to make you question it. And for anyone out there going through something similar, listen to me. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. The first time. Don't sit around waiting for them to come to their senses or remember your worth. Life is way too short to be someone's insurance policy while they figure out their next move. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stand up, walk away, and build something better for yourself. That's it for now. This chapter's closed. And honestly, I've never been more ready for what's next. Take care of yourselves out there, and thanks again for walking through this with me. If you've enjoyed the story and haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell for more real-life stories just like this. You never know what's coming next.